To the weekend party.
Yeah. All right. Crowded bar. Good thing. Good thing. I don't want to scare everyone here in Fort Collins. Adam Hill is stationed at our Friday home throughout the year, and that is Treasure Island, Golden Circle, Sportsbook, and Bar. I am set up getting ready for an afternoon game in Mountain West Conference play. Fort Collins, Colorado State hosting your Running Rebels. Star from the Fan in Denver, Chad Andrus, nice enough to come out, come down, come up. We'll get some geography because I don't think Adam Hill knows. I'm very well aware of the area and how things work. First of all, Chad, how are you, buddy? We're going to turn you up right there. There we go. See, engineer extraordinaire. I always complain about the other engineers. Oh, you know what? There's an on-off switch on that microphone, too, and I turned it off. See, I sabotaged you. I was like, I'm going to give you the on-off switch.
Adam's in Denver all the time. He's in Denver more than I'm in Denver.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know geography. He's
What,
always
Fort Collins, where Fort Collins is, straight north of Denver?
Okay, good. That I didn't think you knew it was north. All right.
Where would I think it was?
I don't know. Sometimes you get confused. Sometimes I get confused on geography.
Like an honorary Colorado resident at this point.
Adam hates everywhere outside of Las Vegas. We've talked about. You do like Denver. We've talked about living in places like Fort Collins or Colorado Springs. I have countered to you and Judge Dan Jacobs, another regular on the show from the Fan in Denver, about the weather. You don't want to hear that.
It's lovely here. There's 300 days of sunshine.
It's cold.
It's a little chilly right now. This week's a little chilly.
See, this is the thing for people because I'm on the road often with UNLV, with these states, Idaho, Utah, and Colorado. You guys get used to it. My blood, if I cut myself, it sprays. There's like it's so thin. It's 32, and I was walking over to come to the remote location, and people are like in light sweaters, light jackets.
Yeah, I mean, you need a sweatshirt.
I'm freezing at 31 degrees.
But how is that any different than anyone in Vegas getting used to the heat? I mean, how is it any different? Like I couldn't survive there now. I lived there.
You're right.
I lived there, and I couldn't survive there now.
So what you're saying is I could move here and I would adjust.
Yeah.
Isn't there an age where you stop adjusting? I think I'm too old to adjust. My body will be like, no, I can't do it.
Maybe to the cold.
Okay.
I would think the age to adjust to the cold is probably a lower cap than it is to adjust to the heat.
Are you just making this up? Because I think I was making it up too.
Well, why do all the old people move to Arizona and Florida?
That's touche. You might be right. Hot weather is easier for the body to adjust to. Last year, it was record heat last year, right? Didn't we have like 30 plus days of over 110? And the summer got finished, and I heard the number, and I was like, we did?
Adam,
and I'm fat?
Adam may not remember this. It was probably 10 years ago now when I was doing Summer League, and I was out in July, and Adam picked me up, and we went out to dinner after I was done with Summer League at night, and we left, and it was 112 when we left at midnight.
It was.
Yeah. And I was like, I couldn't do this anymore. I used to play golf in the middle of the day in July and August.
You're a cold weather person. You also know, Adam, you know this, right? We have our own, I don't know what to call it. There's a triangle of hell, heat-wise, that actually resides right at the Cox Pavilion and Thomas and Mack. There's something in the small area where if it's 112, it's 127 there. I don't know what it is. It's weird.
Is that a little vortex like by the Tarkanian statue?
There is a vortex right there by the Tark statue.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So this town's growing.
Colorado got the towel. I'm sweating all the time.
Oh, yeah. The Springs looks like it's growing all the time. Are the roads still sucky to get out to either?
They are between Denver in either direction.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, why can't we fix this all over the country?
Because there's going to be constant construction because they'll never
overdo it. Yeah.
They'll never approve the funds to do it the way it should be done.
Right.
They'll do the bare minimum, and by the time it's finished, they need more.
The 215 in Vegas by the 15, and Adam has to go through that, has never been done. Right, Adam? 6 months maybe.
Well, they're trying to do it now, and I'm sure it's not going to be anywhere close to enough, and they'll start redoing it at the end of the year.
Yep. It's pretty bad between Denver and Fort Collins right now. It's nothing compared to trying to go from like Denver to an Air Force game at the Academy in Colorado Springs. Oh, plan for 3 hours.
It's like 40 minutes.
It's 30 miles away.
part of it, like those. Well, here you go, Steve, with the Denver knowledge. Part of it is like those south and southeastern suburbs are just expanding so rapidly. Like, there's no way they thought anybody would be living out there to the degree that they are, and now it's just jam packed with houses.
That's where I live. And wait till they build a football stadium and an entire new community by the airport.
Wonderful.
Adam, when do you actually both of us? When do we live in Prim?
Never. I don't think. I actually have talked to two people this week that are like, yeah, I got this. I'm moving right now, and I was like, I would love to move at some point. I just I bought my house at a good time. I have a low enough mortgage. Like, I'm just gonna live there, and I'd love to move. But I'd love to move, but I would hate the process of moving. I think I'm just stuck there.
Isn't that sad when you get old? You look around and you're like, I can't go anywhere now. Sucks. Unless I have to. And then I will.
Or you can't afford to go anywhere. Because, I mean, you could sell your house, but then what are you going to buy?
I think it's more expensive in Fort Collins, the Springs, and Denver. It blows away Vegas, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
God, you're so rich.
No. Equity is not rich. Not unless I cash it in and become homeless.
We have to get Judge Dan on again because
now that's a different story.
That one's weird because Adam, I don't know if you know this, but Judge Dan, and we're talking about people who are not on the show and barely known to the audience, but he's a regular guest of ours. He just bought a DeLorean, and we were all like, "Wait, what are you doing?"
We'll have a discussion. We'll have a discussion off the air about Judge Dan.
Okay. Well, he's an attorney. I mean, he's that firm must be freaking
personal
killing.
Injury attorney.
Well, we're not going to cast aspersions. We love Justin Watkins, who, by the way, brought us last hour here in Fort Collins and in Vegas. 766-1400, the dial from anywhere in the state of Nevada number. If you're still listening in the north, we're on from 4 to 5, but if you're listening via stream, you can dial 775 before 766-1400. All right, we're going to get to college football after 5:30 because Chad's a big college football guy, but we certainly want to talk a little bit of Broncos. We've got what now? A 7-0 game. Judkins had a 9-yard run for Ohio State. They have the ball. They're on the move. Sark is sweating. Do we like Sark? And do we think Sark's a good coach? Because you have some Texas roots.
I'm okay with Sark. I think he's got an interesting story, right? He had some serious troubles very young, but clearly talent, much like in a player scenario, gets multiple chances. And I think he's in a good place. I think he's a guy that can probably be there for a really long time.
We talked about this yesterday. I'll bounce it off of both of you guys. Listen, it's getting tough in college football. I don't want to hear the whining, but I understand why there's whining about NIL, budgets, retaining players, year-round recruiting, managing the guys who are on the roster who don't play but are getting paid. There's a lot of things. Could Sark be like some others and go, you know what, screw it. Jerry Jones wants me, I'll take the Cowboys job. Would you take the Cowboys job and leave Texas?
I wouldn't personally, but I don't know how hard he's working. I mean, obviously he's probably putting in some 80-hour weeks coaching Texas and being in the college football playoff, but I mean, BYU was pretty good this year, and nobody on Kalani Sitake's staff works. They're off half the week.
Adam, would you leave a premium college job like Texas, where, by the way, he makes $10.4 million and it's going up? So I don't know if Jera is taking out the freaking moss out of his wallet and spending money on a coach for $12 million. What do you think? Would you take a Cowboys job over Texas?
I probably wouldn't, just because it's so comfortable. You're going to be there for a long time, most likely, as long as you just have some modicum of success. You can live there. I mean, stay there as long as you want, and just keep making money, and probably keep asking for raises every year because some other job comes in to ask about you. If you're going to Dallas, you're probably thinking that you're going there for 2 or 3 years. I guess the one benefit is ask for a long-term contract in Dallas. Just know that you're going to get fired in 2 years and collect a bunch of money for nothing. That'd be nice.
What if Sark talked to Jerry Jones? He's like, listen, I'll take the same money I get at Texas, but you got to get a GM. I can't have you GMing. I can't have Stevie Jones GMing. I'll come if you hire Tom Telesco.
Then the offer would be rescinded.
Yeah.
Why is Telesco unemployed right now?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it's mostly has to do with what we've seen the last couple of years in terms of coaches and GMs and their ability to work together. We talked about it a little bit with Tennessee, where each year of the last 3 years has been a power struggle, and the coach and the GM have been like him or me, and then they just keep rotating who they choose. And I would imagine part of this is they wanted to keep Telesco, and they thought he did a good enough job, but as they start to do coaching interviews, the coach is like, yeah, I want to bring my own GM. And if they hear it from every single coach, they got to be like, all right, well, we have to at some point make a decision and not have him in place if we want to have. Is going to probably want his own GM, including most likely Ben Johnson, who I think they're going to throw the truck at, like back up the cash truck and say, what do you want? Or what's it going to take? And if he wants his own GM, then that might have to happen.
How did we get to that point, though, Adam? Like, that's the weirdest thing in the world to me, that a coach would pick a GM. If you're a functional organization, isn't it the coach's responsibility and his job description to carry out the message of and the plan of the franchise that is created by ownership and management?
You would think so, but we're at a point, as we're talking about, of coaches having a ton of options, both in college and pros, and what job do they want to take? And look, Ben Johnson, a lot of people don't necessarily believe it, but I am of the opinion that Ben Johnson last year could have had a head coaching job and said, no, I'm good. I'm going to wait to take the job I exactly want. And that could be working with, a GM that I want in a situation that I feel comfortable in and somebody that I trust and have known for a long time. And I'm going to wait for the right opportunity. And coaches have those kind of options now in a lot of cases, and they're using it to do things like, hey, I want my own GM.
I think that'll be interesting to see this year, because aside from Ben Johnson, there's not a ton of great candidates. There's going to be openings. So where are they going to find guys? And when you're talking about him specifically, I would understand it. But for everybody else, like, they're going to have to make some pretty extreme reaches to find guys in the NFL.
Yep, that's why it looks like Pete Carroll might be the top candidate now. You got to dig back into the past.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with I don't love what Ben Johnson is doing, kind of dictating who the GM is, but I understand it from his side, and he doesn't have to leave Detroit. We're learning every year, if you take a bad job, you could be screwed really quickly. So then when you're in a place of power, why would you take a bad job? You don't have to be that desperate. That's why I've said repeatedly, and I need to stop saying it because we're not in New York. So the Giants talk is stupid. But Brian Daboll made a horrendous mistake. He was a hot candidate. Don't go somewhere that doesn't have a quarterback. He should have been more picky. I think he'll get a second chance, but all these guys, and even bounce back guys, if Vrabel doesn't feel right about a job, don't take a job. Your bounce back place could be a place you fail as well, because the organization isn't in line or they don't have a quarterback. That's stupid. And anyone looking at the Raiders absolutely has to be very critical of what the Raiders are going to look like. You got to see how much power Brady's going to have. What is the power structure going to be, Adam?
Well, also, Brian Daboll did keep his job, right?
He did, but I think it's a.
Yeah,
I think
you'll think he'll get another chance.
I think his rep could be further destroyed. If I'm Brian Daboll's agent, I would have reached out to every other place. Now, they'd have, because the Giants retained him, they'd have to then trade some equity, some assets for him. So
yeah.
I don't know if that would happen, but I would have looked to walk.
Yeah,
like John Mara, he can fire himself.
Yeah, but I do think that the candidates that are interested in the Raiders are asking those questions that you're pointing out. And I think the Raiders' answer essentially is, well, it's Tom Brady now. And, I mean, I would say
he's the GM?
No, like we've seen. No, but he's running things. That's what their answer will be.
Right,
hey,
right.
It's the reason it's a different organization. You could say, hey, you failed everything you've done for 20 years. Somebody pointed out and said something to me the other day. Or like, you've hated on every decision they've made since you've started covering this team. Have I been wrong? But like at some point, if coaches are coming in and saying, hey, I don't know if I want to take this job, like everything you do turns awful, there's no counter to that. The only counter is, well, Tom Brady wasn't here before. He's going to be running things. He's bringing a different stability. That's what you're going to try to sell him on. Now, I would say, what has Tom Brady done to prove that he knows how to do that?
Right.
Nothing.
I think
plenty of players that are great fail.
I would love to see a coach go. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for a conversation with Brady there. And Brady starts asking me questions. I'm a hot candidate. And I'm like, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me ask you a question. How do I know you're not John Elway? Go.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know,
Or
John was kind of distracted, had some other. You have a TV job. Are you doing this job or not? Tom, if
you don't live here.
You know, here's the deal, Tom. Yeah. I need you to live here, and I need you to quit Fox or announce your resignation before I take the job. Oh, you won't do that? All right, see ya. I'll go after one of the other 5 jobs, or I'll just wait. Up yours.
Well, you point out LA, and you're in Denver, so it's a good one. But I mean, I think the example that I've been using is Michael Jordan. I mean, Michael Jordan was the equal player to Tom Brady in basketball. What did he do as an executive?
He drafted Kwame Brown.
It wasn't great. Yeah, it wasn't great.
Now, I don't mean to disrespect Mr. Brady. I hope he's on Raider Nation Radio or sister station all the time. I think Brady can, in these pitches, will probably tell. Will he? Do you think he'll tell most of the candidates? Listen, the TV thing's it is coming to an end. It's football. It's all football and all Raiders for me.
I don't think it's coming to an end yet, though.
You think he's going to keep doing
eventually? At least next year. Eventually,
Really?
I think it will be.
But under this scenario, all that means is if a candidate has the balls to do that and call him out and say, I'm not coming if you're not committed, it just means he's not getting his top candidate. I mean, that's all it means. The Broncos didn't get their top 2 candidates. And they're in the playoffs with a rookie quarterback and $53 million in dead cap money, $83 million in dead cap money.
It can quickly become a mess. There's no question.
Okay, we kind of buried the lead from 7 minutes ago. Pete Carroll, what?
I mean, I think as of this minute, he's probably the top candidate.
Why? Because they talked to him?
I mean, I think only because I think Ben Johnson is their first choice, and I don't think he's taking the job. I could be wrong. They could talk him into it. I just don't think he's taking it. But I think he is by far the number 1 choice. And I think second would probably be, at this point, Pete Carroll, and that would be the fallback plan for right now. Again, there's a lot of people that they've been talked to yet that they're going to talk to, so that could change quickly.
So does the same scenario apply? If Ben Johnson's the top choice, what you were saying makes sense, that the coach gets to choose the GM he wants to work with. But if it's not Ben Johnson, is the GM hired first to select the coach? Does that change? So Brady's hiring the coach, and then together they figure out who's going to pick the players?
I think they'll have coaching candidates in. They'll also have some GM candidates in, but they'll have coaching candidates in and say, all right, here's our list of GMs, or all right, who do you want? I think if it's Ben Johnson, I think he gets to decide who his GM is. Absolutely.
Do you have any clue of connects from the past that he'd want?
I wrote that I think it would be Ray Agnew would be the guy. He's the assistant GM in Detroit right now, but I'm sure that he has a list of other people that he wants to work with. So I'm sure that there's many people that he's worked with along the way, but he probably has one guy in mind. And he's always said, hey, this would be my GM if I take a coaching job, and we'll see how that plays out. But I think if it's Ben Johnson, he picks his own GM. If it's another candidate, they might say, we're leaning in this direction. Can you work with this guy?
And did I miss Vrabel? Is it done with the Patriots?
He interviewed. They wrapped it up. I haven't seen anything done.
What have you found out over the last couple of days about Brady and Vrabel with their true relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it, but there's if you talk to half the people, they'll say they're like best friends and talk all the time. And other people say, I don't think they're that close. And then I had another person say, I don't think they like each other. So I think it's varied. But I definitely talked to somebody who is, very, very connected in the NFL yesterday who said, no, they're close.
The Brady and Vrabel.
Literally 2 minutes later, somebody said, yeah, they don't like each other. So, I mean, who knows?
I should have done this already, and I'm going to say it in a second. Chad, go ahead.
I was just going to say, can't both be true? Can't you be close with people you don't like if you work well with them?
Sure.
That's a good one. I was actually, I got to bring this up. Again, this is a very random reference, although he's a big star in the market. Adam, who did I kind of make the whole Brady Belichick comparison where, like, you trust someone, you think they're knowledgeable, you will lean on them, but, like, deep down, you don't really want to be around them much because they drive you nuts.
It's Chad's guy,
Yeah. For me, it's
Ray Brewer.
That's all.
over at the Las Vegas Sun.
Okay.
Like if I know if I need to talk local and high school stuff, like I will call Ray, and we get along fine. Like, do what I want to work with Ray every day, and it's nothing against Ray. I don't mean it in a bad way.
Love you, Ray. Miss you, buddy.
Little known fact
It sounds like you mean it in a bad way.
Little known fact, and I did not mention it the other day. Ray, myself, Chad Anderson, the fan, is on with us. He's here in Fort Collins, and the very well known in New York, unkillable Brandon Tierney, mega Jets fan on WFM. We were all in one house some 20 plus years ago.
And Adam most of the time as well.
And Adam did live on the couch, although he was respectful. He was not a Paul Howard where he made demands for us to get out and be quiet.
Call the house meeting,
Which Paul
like
did.
Paul did.
Since Paul Howard and former he won't mention it. Formerly of Lotus Broadcasting, slept on your couch for months and then was annoyed that you guys were basically there.
We were like 22, so we were partying a lot, and he got mad. He said, "Call the house meeting, so you guys got to stop partying so much.
Yeah.
I have to sleep." We're like,
Right.
"You don't pay rent. You live on our couch."
It's so tremendous. I love it. All right, give me someone. Have you mentioned a wild card at all in this? Do we have a sleeper candidate? Like what is like I don't think you would interview Steve Spagnuolo. Like you're not satisfying you're not checking any of the list. He's a 65-year-old white guy.
I think, and this isn't from knowledge at all. This is just my read on it. The many times that I've talked to Mark Davis and he's talked about we have to figure out how the Chiefs did their blueprint. Like I think that's his way of being like, all right, we'll figure out their blueprint by taking their blueprint. And like I don't think Spagnuolo is bringing Mahomes and Reed with him. But I think he's a good coach, and I think it would make them worse. Like I think you would make the Chiefs a worse team. So maybe that's helpful. But I don't know that he's, in the top list of candidates. I wrote about it, and I'll throw it out again. The absolute wild card, where did this come from? The, kind of swing for the fences. You guys are in the region, right down the road. It's Dion.
Yeah.
That was the hot topic on Denver radio yesterday, that Louis Riddick would be the GM and Dion would be his coach. That was the hot topic yesterday around here.
I mean, I don't think it's completely out of the question.
Adam gave you the silent treatment at the beginning. There's something here.
I'm
watching you.
My question, Adam, is on television and everything I see and watch, I like Louis Riddick. I think he seems to be a pretty sharp guy and does a good job. Why would he pick Dion as his coach? Other than their longtime relationship when they were former teammates.
Yeah, to get the job, I think.
He's interviewed a lot, hasn't he?
Well, here's the other.
By the way, I'll just also say, I don't think if you hire Dion, you're hiring Dion. I think you're finagling the draft to get Shador.
Well, I think we've thought that all along here. We've always thought he was going to be a Raider until he wore the Giants cleats in the Alamo Bowl.
Those are fake. Those are AI.
The curious part to me is, one, they would probably have to trade to get Shador. But I do think there will be trades.
No, I think the plan would be Dion's the coach and says, hey, he's not signing. He's sitting out if you draft him.
Yep.
Okay. That's all right. I get that. Yeah, that would be weird. Good luck.
It's the next level from Archie Manning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what Archie Manning did, but Archie wasn't in the running to be a coach.
I mean, Shador and Tom Brady reportedly have a fantastic relationship.
Well, Tom Brady started a brand, obviously, the TB12 brand, and the first athlete he signed to an NIL deal was Shador.
Hello.
And they've worked out in the off seasons every year.
You love the Sanders and the internet and weaning something from it. How about this one? Dion, after hearing that Lou Riddick had interviewed for the GM position with the Jets, please do not mess this up, and I pray this was a real interview and not that other thing y'all do. This man deserves a real chance. He is knowledge and class personified. He loves Lou Riddick. That proves it.
They were teammates.
He loves it.
Here's the one thing I'll say, Adam, and I'm sure you'll chuckle at this. Dion did leave himself a bit of an out when asked about going to the NFL for a specific job. He made it very clear and reiterated multiple times, I would consider it to coach my sons, plural, both of my sons, if they were both on a team. If you think Thanasis Antetokounmpo is a token roster spot to appease a star player, try putting Shiloh Sanders in an NFL locker room.
So he doesn't have to be in the locker room. He can be in a practice squad.
If Dion's the coach, he's not going to be on the practice squad.
It's pretty, just bring in Bucky to do whatever he does.
So you're going to draft him in the 7th round and then put him on the team, and he's going to take a roster spot. And he was the worst starter on either side of the ball for Colorado. He's not an NFL player. But you're going to put him on a team so you can get the quarterback and the coach?
Bronny James isn't an NBA player, but they found a way to make it work.
Is there a G League he can go to?
Yes, in the spring. Is there 2 leagues now or just one? Do they consolidate all of them?
You can play for the Henderson Nighthawks.
Cofield and Company live in Fort Collins, live down at our Friday home. It's Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar. We'll get you more updates on Ohio State and Texas and a little more on the Raiders and trying to make a decision here on head coach and GM, and then a long look at college football and where it is right now, especially after one of the great coaches in the game, Jimmy Franklin, fell short.
Traffic is brought to you by Meineke, your one-stop shop for total car care. Trust your keys with Meineke, doing car care right.
Starting on Sunday and running through Friday of next week, from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m., the northbound 15 will be reduced to one lane between St. Rose Parkway and Silverado Ranch.
Traffic